you a demo on how to work with WordPress on the UCF Gaim student server. WordPress is a free open source, originally blogging platform, but you can build all kinds of websites with it now. Huge quantity of the internet is built on WordPress, I think over a quarter actually. So it's a reasonable skill to have if you're going into web development. So how do we do this? The first thing to note is that there's two different kinds of WordPress. There's WordPress.org and WordPress.com. WordPress.com is if you want to set up a WordPress site that is hosted by them. There are free tiers that have WordPress branding on them. You can pay money to remove that branding. You have much more limited options if you're having them host it than if you host it yourself. And since we have server space, that's what we're going to do. And when I say limited options, I mean in terms of the aesthetics of the site through installing and updating themes and just functionality through plugins on the site. There's much more you can do and manipulate if you're self-hosted than if you go through their hosting. So we go to WordPress.org. We're greeted with this page. You click Get WordPress, and you can download the latest build of WordPress. That will come in as a zip file, which you can uncompress, and you will get a folder called WordPress with these 3 subfolders and then these select files. So we have to put these on our server space. How do we do that? The student server at UCF is very secure, so there's a number of things that we need to do to get access to it. First is we need to VPN into the private network at the university, and that's with the Cisco client. If you don't have any of the tools that I'm using here, you can go to students.gaim.ucf.edu, and this is like the overview for the page. It talks about the credentials you need to get in with FTP or SSH. There's also this connection guide for accessing the VPN, and there's also the link. Where's the link to the Cisco? Oh, here we go. The UCF Virtual Private Network access takes you to UCF's IT page where you can download the Cisco client. There. Okay. So we've got Cisco going. We're going to go to secure.vpn.ucf.edu. Connect. You will have to log in with your NID and password. And you'll have to choose if you're a student or faculty, so use the appropriate group there. Okay, and we are in. All right, so that's living up in our menu bar now. So that's step 1. Step 2 is launching FileZilla. FileZilla is also a free tool that you can download. FTP client. It looks like this. And on the left side is going to show us our local system. On the right side is going to show us the server once we're connected. So the host for the server is net 5046.net.ucf.edu. The username is your NID. The password is your NID password. The port is 22. That's for a secure FTP transfer. It'll let us know about host key. And there we go. We're in, and you can see your folder. If you've not done anything here, this shouldn't be empty, but you may see different things here. If you don't have a public HTML folder, you need to create one by right-clicking and going create new directory and naming it public_HTML, all lowercase. The capitalization and punctuation with anything on the web is extremely important. While we're in here, I'm going to grab this DB credentials file and download it. I can download things by double-clicking on them, or I can drag them from one side to the other to move stuff from remote to local or from local to remote. That DB credentials file is going to have your login information for the MySQL database that was made for you on the student server. It is a hidden file. It's got a period in front, so it's .db. So when you download it, it might not appear in your downloads folder, or it might not seem to appear. It is there, however. So depending on your system, if you're on Mac, if you hold Shift, Command, and the period key, it will display the hidden files so you can open it. If you're on Windows and you're in File Explorer, go to View, then Show, then Hidden Items, and you'll be able to see that .db credentials file. You can open it with a text editor like Atom. Okay, so we've got our download, we've got our DB credentials. So then we need to set up our configuration file for WordPress. When you download WordPress, you will not have this demo file and you will not have this config file. You will have this config sample file. And if I open that up in Atom, it's a very basic database configuration file. So what you're going to do is put your username from that .db credentials file here, your name of your database here, your password for the database here, and then you're going to make a couple other changes to this. So let me open up the demo I have to show you what else is different. So here you can see I've got my database name, my database user, my database password. You're going to change the host from localhost to 127.0.0.1:3306. You need to add this bit up here to handle the reverse proxying on the server. So this is some PHP. So just copy that word for word into this file. And then you'll notice down here there are these authentication keys and salts that you need to generate. The link is in the file. If you copy that link and go visit it, it will give you that text. You copy that and put it into your configuration file, like that. Then the only other thing you have to think about here is the table prefix. If you are just installing the one WordPress site on your server space, that's all you're going to do. You can leave it as it is and ignore it. If you think you're going to install multiple WordPress sites, you just want to make sure that each time you install WordPress, you change the table prefix. So like I've added a 1 to mine instead of just WP, so that I can have WordPress installs 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., whatever. That's so the WordPress You can have many WordPress installs that use a singular database, but it will make many different tables for each install with this different prefix. That's what that's for. So there's no conflicts. Okay, so you're going to save that file as wp-config.php. Okay, this one. That's all you want for that. Now, once we've got all of that taken care of, we can go into our public HTML folder, and I'm going to make a new directory. I'll call it WordPress. You can name it whatever you want for your site, and hit OK. I'm going to open that up, and then I'm going to navigate over here, downloads. This is my WordPress folder. I'm just going to select everything that I've got, and I'm going to drag it across. Now, this operation can take a significant amount of time. So I'm going to go get some water, and I'll catch up with you when it's done. Okay. So once everything has transferred across, the next thing we need to do is set our permissions so that we can actually access and use these files. So I'm going to right-click on that whole WordPress directory and go to File Attributes. And I want to set this to 755 so that public and group permissions are read and executable. And I want to make sure I recurse into all subdirectories and apply to all files and directories. And hit OK. And again, this might take a minute or two as it goes through all of our files. So the permissions have all updated on my files. I'm ready to complete the WordPress install, and I do that in the browser. So I'm going to go to students.gaim.ucf.edu/tilde, that's very important, my NID, and hit enter, and this will bring me to the root of my server space, the public HTML folder. And I can click that WordPress file where I installed everything, and you can see it'll take me to my NID/WordPress. I could also just type that in, and it brings me to this page where I can do their quick install. So I can give my blog a name. I can make a username for myself, and set a password. I'm going to make sure I copy this password or write it down somewhere. The username and the password does not have to be your NID and password. This can be different. This is the password for the administrative role for the blog. So when you want to make posts or edit the design or anything like that, you're going to log into the blog with this credential, and you won't have to go through the rigmarole with everything else. You can add an email address to, in theory, do password restoration, although I have not found that works well. So again, write down your password, and I'm going to click discourage search engines from indexing this site because it's a demo. That's entirely up to you. And then install. All right, so success. Then I go to log in, I type in my username and the password, and here we go. We're now in the WordPress dashboard. I can make new posts, I can make new pages, I can add plugins and themes, etc., etc. If I go up here to visit site, it'll show me my test blog and my sample page. I can go to look at all my posts, and we'll see here's that hello word post. I can edit it. Update, and let's see if I can go back. There we go. So it's working as I would expect. I'm not going to go into a whole deal on how to use WordPress itself. It's a what you see is what you get editor. It's quite intuitive and straightforward, and there is a ton of other content on the internet on how exactly to work with WordPress that you can look up on your own. The one other thing I'll mention is that if we want to do plugins or change the theme, we might run into trouble trying to like upload a theme from within WordPress or a plugin within WordPress. So what I would do is if I go back to wordpress.org, I can look up all the themes and plugins here as well that I would be able to find within the site itself. And when I find a theme or plugin I want, I can download it onto my computer and then transfer it into the appropriate place using the FTP client. And so if I go into my WordPress folder and then WP content, there's a plugins folder and there's a themes folder already. And so you can see the default themes and plugins that come with. So you would just add the folders you downloaded there. So, and then they should appear here when you're looking at them. You just click activate to turn on the theme or the plugin. All right, so that's working with WordPress and the Gaim student server.